Does this look familiar to anybody?
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, from the bar.
That's what we had in the yacht.
I asked for this.
Yes.
And it was a very difficult to find. It took somebody 3 weeks to find it.
Yeah.
And they.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl, the Brooke Ashley, and today we are here to discuss The Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip, Season 3, Episodes 4, 5, and 6. Yes, it is another triple recap. If you guys don't know, I was gone for a minute, but I'm back with the jump off, okay? In the words of Little Kim. But in all seriousness though, I was taking a break because I just moved. So between the unpacking, getting everything out of the boxes, it's been a whole thing, all right? I have missed you guys immensely. And when I tell you, shout out to you guys, because the fact that I could never go missing, y'all ride for me so hard. I had so many of y'all DMing me on Instagram saying, hey Brooke, haven't seen you, hope you're okay. I mean, you guys sent me the sweetest messages. I saw you guys on my other videos commenting saying, Brooke, is everything okay? And I was like, oh my gosh, I hope that they're not worried, but no, I'm fine. I just moved. We all know how moving is. It's just a whole situation in itself. I don't know why it has to be so terrible. And I don't care how many movers you hire. It's just so stressful. But let me not go off on a tangent about that. We are back. I have a lot to say. And I want to start off by letting everybody know, if you happen to be a Gizelle or a Porsha fan, this will not be the video for you. And if you choose to stay, enter at your own risk, because I'm not mincing my words. I am going in because Gizelle and Porsha have continually tried it, especially Gizelle. Episode 5 really sent me over. I was this close to saying, shout out to everybody, I have fun, I can't do this.
Oh! Shout out to everybody. I had fun.
I gotta be good.
I think that it's truly sad that even on this girls' trip, Gizelle still can't act right. But guys, let's just jump right on into it, because you guys already know that we don't have a minute to spare. But episode 4 starts off with everybody getting ready for the day, and it's Porsha's day. She's gonna have a Thai barbecue, and then she's gonna have a game day with all the ladies. So as they're getting ready, Pepsi's going around talking to each of them. Leah's still upset with her little tiff that she had with Gizelle. She's like, I'm sure Gizelle has heard a lot worse at dinners before. So Candiace says, girl, don't sweat the small stuff. Let it roll off your back. Don't allow them to win. Do not give them the satisfaction of seeing you upset. And that's sound advice. When it comes to people like Gizelle, Gizelle lives to get under your skin. So I definitely agree with Candiace, like, girl, just let it roll off your back. Ignore her. Don't pay her any mind. Now, here's where I really got annoyed, because when I tell you I am so tired of hearing Whitney and Heather go at it about the whole drama with the Mormon church and their relationship. I don't want to hear this anymore. It's tired, it's stale, we don't care. The same way that this last season of SLC was a flop, don't bring this on the girls' trip, because again, it's not giving. So Heather goes on to say that the issues with Whitney are much bigger than what we all see, and how she's really offended that Whitney would accuse her of pretending just so she can sell her book Bad Mormon. Now Heather, let me just stop right here and get you together real quickly, okay? Because I have always said in all my recaps, especially for this last season of SLC, that you flip-flop. You don't know what side you want to be on. You don't know if you want to be the rebel or the sweet little naive Mormon girl who has no idea what's going on. Heather, since season 1 of SLC, you have been the biggest advocate of trying to tear down the Mormon church. You've said it yourself, the Mormon church is bad, they've done awful things, and you want to let everybody know. Now, all of a sudden, when Whitney calls you out and says, but sis, if you don't like the Mormon church anymore, if you no longer believe, then why is your name still on the roll? Why haven't you finally just removed yourself from the church? That's a valid question, because I was surprised too. But all in all, I'm tired of this whole argument between you and your cousin, because again, I lost interest last season. So while Heather's whining about where she stands with Whitney, we now see Whitney in her room and she's on FaceTime with none other than Lisa Barlow. Now, if you watch my SLC reviews, then you know that I love imitating Lisa Barlow's voice. And she even paid me a compliment at BravoCon last year and said that I nailed her voice down. Okay, so like, let me just dust my shoulder off, okay? Because I did that. But anyhow, Whitney's telling Lisa all about the issues that she's having with Heather. And here goes Lisa trying to offer up some encouragement. And she says, Whitney, the reason why Heather is so upset is because Heather was caught in a lie and she's just mad that she's being exposed now. That's all it is. And once again, doing Lisa Barlow's voice is the only reason why I stick with the SLC recaps. So here goes Whitney throwing Heather under the bus yet again. And she goes on to say that Heather is the one who brought her on the show and they both made a pact to hate Lisa Barlow. So I said, now hold on, Whitney, let me get you together quickly, because I have said this since season 1 as well. The real reason why you and Heather did not like Lisa Barlow earlier on, because you guys wanted to be her friend and she was not featuring you like that. She didn't care for you and you guys were upset. You and your cousin Heather have big time inferiority complexes and you want to be friends with the cool girl. And you view Lisa Barlow as the ultimate cool girl, the ultimate it girl in your circle. And because she kind of paid you dust, that's why you both didn't like her. But it's just so funny now that you're now best friends with Lisa Barlow and you want to kick your cousin to the curb. And now you want to throw her under the bus saying, yeah, girl, Heather put me up to not liking you in the first place. And Whitney, the gag is Lisa Barlow's only befriending you now because she's on the outs with Meredith. Again, if you watch SLC, then you know the dynamics in this group. And Meredith and Lisa used to be really close. And because they've now fallen out, Lisa needs a new ally. Again, I'm tired of hearing about this whole drama with Whitney and Heather. I'm over it. I've been over it. Now we do cut to a short scene with Leah in her confessional, and she pretty much says that she's having a great time on the trip, but she feels like her only friend and her only ally is Candiace. And then Leah says that she loves the fact that Candiace is an independent thinker and she's not going to follow the crowd. But I really do like the fact that Candiace and Leah do seem to have a good friendship. They're definitely bonding on the trip. And I think that Candiace can relate because of how she's treated on her franchise. So she doesn't want to see somebody else be treated poorly and be ostracized the whole time. Now we see the women get some massages. This scene had me screaming because those massages looked amazing. And a lot of the ladies were into it. They were moaning. And I was like, I mean, are y'all having sex or just getting a massage? So it's time for the Thai barbecue. And I felt bad for Leah because Leah's a vegetarian. And this Thai barbecue, I mean, everything was pork or it was dipped in pork oil. So Leah couldn't eat any of it. So she was like, damn, now I have to starve until dinner. I was like, girl, if you don't call Pepsi up and ask him to order you some food, because there's no way that I'm going to be anywhere, especially on vacation, starving. And the budget over at Peacock is huge, sis, so don't you dare go hungry. Get some food. But the food looked amazing. I mean, the oysters had my mouth watering. So they all sit down to eat because I actually thought that it was going to be an easy, breezy, fun lunch. And it was anything but. Unfortunately, you might want to skip through this part if you don't want to talk about season 5 of Potomac, because we're going there. So Candiace says, hey, Porsha, I want to talk to you about something that's been on my mind for quite some time. Before Candiace can even get the rest of her sentence out, she starts crying. And again, I get it. I'm sensitive too. So talking about something that was just so hurtful and so painful, it's going to bring up the tears again. And of course, you have Porsha making fun of the fact that Candiace cries, and she says that that's just how Candiace communicates. I'd rather communicate the way Candiace communicates versus how you communicate. And we've seen how you communicate several times because I'm still not over how you acted on your own spinoff show. So Candiace somewhat collects herself and she says, the aftermath of the whole situation is what got me. I was ripped apart. The blogs were tearing me up. People on social media, everything was skewed in her favor. They had accused me of throwing a glass in her face. I never did any such thing. Seeing you on Bravo chat room joking about how I was suing her to get the down payment for my house, that was a bold-faced lie, and you didn't know me at the time, I didn't know you, so to see you saying that about me was really hurtful. One thing about Porsha can never own up to anything. She's never wrong. She's always right. When she is called out about being wrong, she makes excuses. So she's defending her antics. She's like, well, I was there for a friend who is telling me her facts. So Candiace says, but it's not the truth because she was lying. Now, whether or not you like Candiace or not, one thing's for sure. We know that Candiace grew up well. So that's a bold-faced lie right there to even say that she was suing somebody to get the down payment for her house. If anything, she could always ask her mother and father for the money. And it wasn't that she was trying to sue Monique for money. She just wanted justice because of Monique assaulting her on national TV. It wasn't a money grab. So to even make it seem like that, it's like, are y'all serious right now? Again, if you don't like me, that's fine, but don't lie on me. I think the reason why I get so passionate about Potomac in particular, because they had such potential to be a legendary and iconic franchise. And seasons 3 and 4 were great. And then season 5 came and just wiped all the progress out. And there has been a dark cloud on this franchise ever since. It's really unfortunate that we still have to argue about what really happened in season 5. 3 years later, and we're still talking about this. So the way this conversation went from bad to worse. Whitney jumps in and she's like, Candiace is angry because she feels like you guys used your platform to defame her. So now Gizelle says, well, I didn't. I was defending Candiace. So Candiace says, well, it would have been nice if you guys would have called me up and asked me for a statement versus Porsha making jokes about how I needed the money. So you have Gizelle disregarding what Candiace just said, and she's like, again, I was defending you, Candiace. Then Gizelle adds that that was the first time that her and Porsha had ever disagreed on anything because she was on Candiace's side. So now Gizelle says that she wants a pat on the back because people would come up to her saying that Candiace deserved to have her ass beat at the 7-Eleven, at the Whole Foods, and she would say, no, what happened to her was wrong. Now, Gizelle, let's just stop right here and take a trip down memory lane. Because let's be very clear, the reason why you defended Candiace so hard in season 5 is not because you truly believe that violence is wrong. You just hated Monique so much. And you wanted Monique off the show. Because in season 6, when Candiace and Mia got into it, and Mia threw that lettuce at Candiace, you had the audacity to fix your lips and tell Candiace that if Mia would have really whooped her ass, it would have been warranted. Now, isn't that strange coming from the same woman who was against violence the previous season? Then we saw you in this last season, season 7. Bigfoot Mia assaulted Wendy in Miami. And you sat up there laughing and cackling. You didn't care. You said, well, I don't like Wendy, so I don't care what happened to her. If violence is wrong, then it's wrong. You can't sit up here and pick and choose because you don't like somebody. So for you to act like you deserve a pat on the back because you defended Candiace that season, well, let's not. Because your morality changes depending on how you feel about somebody. So now Gizelle says that she's upset because it's apparent that Candiace isn't appreciative of how she defended Candiace during that time. And I said, but again, you're the same woman defending violence against Wendy, and you're out here lying on Candiace's husband. So again, for you to act like you're just this great friend who care so much, Gizelle, stop. So now you have all three of them going at it. The rest of the table is like, what the F is going on? Candiace says, look, all I'm saying is that it would have been nice if you guys would have given me the opportunity to make a statement on your show. So at this point, Porsha's like, I don't understand. Candiace is going in on me, but not even appreciating how Gizelle had her back. And so it's like, Porsha, you don't want to understand anything. You are committed to misunderstanding Candiace. So of course, Porsha and Candiace are going at it. You have Porsha talking about she's a journalist. And I said, Porsha, a gig at Dish Nation does not a journalist make, and you and I both know it. Stop. And I loved when Candiace clocked you and said, no, sweetheart, I have the degree. I graduated from the Howard University School of Communications with a broadcast news degree, okay? Don't play with me. I am not one of them. So Candiace finally realizes that talking to Porsha is like talking to a brick wall, and it's gonna go nowhere. So she's like, you know what, Porsha, whatever, I'm done. And now their conversation is over. And I was like, thank God. Candiace, protect your peace. You're not gonna get anywhere talking to somebody like Porsha. But now it's time for the games to begin. So she's like, the SLC girls are gonna be on one team together. The Miami girls, you guys are another team. Obviously, Gizelle and Candiace are on the same team because they're on the same franchise. And because Porsha and Leah are pretty much like lone wolves, she's like, we'll be a team. So the team name for her and Leah, she names them Poor Leah, like a combination of their names. So Leah's like, it feels kind of shady because you're pretty much calling me Poor Leah. So they finish playing the first two games, and now we get to the last game where they have to either tell the truth or eat a scorpion. She starts it off by asking Alexia, how would she rank her husbands in bed? So Alexia says that, of course, her new husband Todd is number one. Then she says that her baby's father, who was her first husband, was number two. And then she says that Herman was number three. Now, of course, I could have told you that. I mean, we already know that Herman was creeping around on Alexia while they were married, and they did not look like they were having sex. So I was not surprised that she ranked Herman last. So now it's Candiace's turn, and of course, Porsha goes on to ask Candiace if she would bang Monique Samuels. So Candiace says, yeah, I sure would. I'd bang her to death. I said, now, Porsha, why would you even ask her about Monique Samuels? Why? And I was not mad at Candiace's answer because, listen, if you assault me, especially on national TV, I'm going to have it out for you every time your name gets brought up.
And you're going to always get it again and again and again.
So now it's Gizelle's turn to answer a question. And I think the question was, who does Gizelle think would make the least off of OnlyFans in this group? And I think Gizelle says Marisol. And now Porsha goes on to ask Leah, who does Leah think should not be asked back for the New York reboot? So Leah's like, I plead the fifth, and she goes right on ahead and eats a scorpion. I was like, Leah, you didn't want to answer the question? I would have answered. I would have said, Ramona does not need to be back. This one, that one. Like, I would have answered. There's no way that I would eat a scorpion. So yeah, she would have gotten the truth out of me that day. And now Porsha goes on to ask Whitney if she can name the 3 times that Heather lied. So Whitney follows suit and she eats a scorpion too. And she's like, the issues between me and Heather need to be worked out between us, and I don't want to be messy. And now it's Heather's turn. Porsha wants to know who gave her the black eye on her cast trip. And of course, Heather takes a bite of the scorpion, and I wasn't surprised because this whole entire time, Heather lied. If you watch this season of SLC, then you know that at this reunion, it was revealed that Heather banged her eye on the faucet and tried to pretend this entire time like somebody punched her while she was sleeping. But you know, a lot of these ladies now are just making things up as they go to stay on this show and collect a check because they have no other storylines to give us. Oh, I forgot. Porsha did ask Marisol a question. She's like, Marisol, who do you trust the least? And Marisol says, oh, well, that's easy. Leah. Leah's already thrown me under the bus 3 times while we've been on this trip. Now we know that Marisol and Leah got into it, I think in episode 2. So there's some friction there and Marisol can't stand her. So Porsha's game day is over and now it's time for the ladies to get ready because Gizelle is hosting tonight's dinner and it's a Mardi Gras theme. Remember that Gizelle's family's from New Orleans, so she wants them all to celebrate the Creole Queen, as she calls herself. So now they're all dressed. They all get into the Sprinter vans to head to the restaurant. And this conversation between Gizelle and Porsha really pissed me off. I said, the delusions and the audacity from both of these women. It's alarming. I want to know, do you guys see and hear yourselves? So Porsha says, you know who I feel has it out for us? Candiace. But if we gang up on her, then it's bullying and I don't like that. So she's like the same girl who was crying about having anxiety and she has all this mouth for the both of us. So Gizelle co-signs and says the problem with Candiace is that nothing's ever good enough for her. I said, wait, Gizelle Bryant, you of all people is saying that nothing's ever good enough for somebody else? Whoa. You are never satisfied with anybody's explanation about anything. And for Porsha to say that Candiace has it out for the both of them. Porsha, are you insane? All Candiace did was address her gripes with you, and she was direct. She didn't talk behind your back. She wanted to clear the air and say, Porsha, I'm still hurt about what happened in the past and I want to address it and clear it up. And of course, you're too immature to receive that. So in your pea brain, you want to say that she has it out for you? Again, Porsha, I just don't understand. You can never hear anybody out. And it makes sense as to why you and Gizelle are so close because you guys are two sides of the same coin. So Gizelle carries on about how she always sticks up for Candiace. And then she adds that the whole issue with Chris Bassett, Candiace is angry at her because she addressed it in front of the cameras. So you have Porsha saying, really? Like, why is she so mad about that? So now Gizelle says, yeah. And do you know what she told me? She told me that I'm the reason why women don't come forward when it comes to SA. So you have Porsha saying, she said that to you? That's just so disgusting. Why would she say that? I said, Gizelle, if you don't shut your lying self up. We already watched season 7, unfortunately, and you lied. You tried to malign this man's name for no reason other than you wanted a storyline. Now, while I'll never be here for Gizelle, this dinner was on point. That food had my mouth watering. The jumbo crab cakes and those po' boys, baby, I'm salivating as we speak. And I am overdue for another New Orleans trip because the food is just everything and then some. If you've never been to New Orleans, please go. I mean, it's such a fabulous place. The people are just so beautiful, so friendly. I mean, I want to live there. So during dinner, it starts raining. And it was really good thinking on Gizelle's part because they all had umbrellas.
Hey! Like, get into it. Put your back into it. Put your butt into it. Porsha, I know you know. I don't know. I got to teach you. Get into it. Y'all got it in your head. Y'all know what to do. I'm so free.
So now they make their way over to the next room in the restaurant and they play the reasonably shady game. Gizelle starts asking, is it reasonable or is it shady to take credit for success of the whole Housewives franchise when your franchise got canceled for 8 years? So it's obvious that she's throwing shade at the Miami girls. Remember that Miami was on hiatus for 8 years and then they were brought back last year. So Alexia defends herself. She's like, I wasn't being shady. All I'm saying is that Miami was on before you and SLC, and we had drag queens on our show. We spoke Spanish. We were trailblazers. So they're all like, girl, you guys were not the first to do any of that. I mean, besides the speaking Spanish part, okay, but the rest of the other stuff, like, you guys are not trailblazers in the Housewives world. But I do think that Alexia sounds a bit delusional to say that Miami was a trailblazer and they opened the doors for other franchises. I don't agree. If anything, I think that Atlanta is definitely a trailblazer and they're definitely one of the most iconic franchises ever. But I do think that it's a bit off of Alexia to say that they paved the way. If we're being honest, nobody was even watching Miami for those first 3 seasons. They just got some good ratings now. But Alexia says that they're iconic because there's never been a show in Bravo's history that was canceled for 8 years and then brought back. Now, I will give her props on that because that is true. That's a big feat to have been on hiatus for all that time and then for Bravo to give you a second chance. And side note, the Miami girls are getting paid.
Bling, bling, bling. Bitches is mad.
The Miami girls are out here making $500,000 and beyond on their franchise. I said, okay, Peacock really has the budget. So they move on from that, and now Gizelle asks another question, and she wants to know, is it reasonable or is it shady to call somebody a bully? And Candiace says, yeah, it is reasonable because you and Porsha have both been bullies. The way you've been ganging up on Leah, the way you've been acting towards me, yeah, you guys are acting like bullies, and I'm gonna say it. So you already know that Porsha's pissed. She says that Candiace wanted an audience, and so Candiace says, well, obviously you're pressed about what I said because hit dogs holler. So now they jump to the next question, and I'm thinking, Gizelle, just wrap this game up. You see it's going left. Just say, let's just end this night on a high note. Is that too hard to ask? So now Gizelle directs her next question to Heather and is pretty much shading Heather about her inconsistencies in regards to her faith and where she stands in leaving the Mormon church. And the way we can breeze right through this part, because like I've told you guys several times, I am no longer interested. I have checked out when it comes to the whole Mormon storyline and this whole feud between Heather and Whitney. I can't do it anymore. But Gizelle's Mardi Gras dinner is over, and now they're back at the villa, and you have Whitney going off at the mouth, talking about, you know what, I'm gonna air Heather out. I'm gonna say 3 lies that she said while she's been here. She knows how she got her black eye. She was never friends with Lisa Barlow, and she's still in the Mormon church. Then she adds that the masks are coming off, and they will get to the bottom of all this. Now, Whitney, do any of us care? No. Because like I just told you a few minutes ago, we're all tired. This is pathetic. It's like you guys are grasping at straws to be relevant. Last season of SLC was so boring. And for you to think that we want to hear about the same old tired mess on Girls Trip? Absolutely not. So we jump into episode 5, and Gizelle, for you to show your entire ass over a $142 bottle of Clase Azul that you can buy anywhere in these United States of America was absolutely disgusting, disturbing, and pathetic. And the way I'm about to light you up, because that ending had me livid. How dare you accuse and call somebody a thief over a damn bottle of tequila? So it's day 5 at this point. Everybody's lounging around. Leah, Whitney, and Heather are doing some boxing. And now we see a short scene with Marisol and Alexia getting ready. And while they're getting dressed, they're complaining about how loud everybody is. So you have, I think it's Marisol who says, and especially Candiace, it's like she swallowed a microphone. Now I said, hold on, I didn't care too much for that comment because nobody's louder than Alexia. If you watch Miami, then you know how loud Alexia gets, especially when she's angry. So I said the audacity and the sheer gall to act like Candiace is just so loud. So we cut back to Gizelle at the pool. She calls Pepsi over and she's like, hey Pepsi, we have an issue. Have you seen my tequila bottle? And so we see a flashback of last night. Her, Pepsi, and Porsha took shots together of her Clase Azul. She can't find her bottle, and now she wants to know if somebody took it. So Pepsi's like, look, I don't know anything about this bottle. I don't remember seeing it anywhere besides the time that I took the shots with you and Porsha last night. So now she's asking Pepsi if he thinks that one of the other ladies took it, and it's in one of their rooms. And he's like, again, I don't know. I haven't seen anything. Like, don't ask me because I'm just as confused as you are. So now Gizelle says, well, okay, I'll ask around because I need to find that bottle. I don't drink vodka or champagne. I only drink tequila. I'm like, Gizelle, act like you're used to something. I'm sure that that villa has other tequilas. You will be okay if you don't have Clase Azul. I was getting irritated already because I said, you know what? Something tells me Gizelle is going to try it. And she did. She got progressively worse over a damn bottle of tequila. Are you insane? So we see Gizelle float on over to Porsha's room. She's like, hey girl, I just asked Pepsi if he's seen my Clase Azul. And at lunch today, it's gonna be a courtroom because I'm asking everybody where they were last night because we're gonna find this bottle. So now Gizelle says that Heather is suspect number one because Heather doesn't have the ability to tell the truth. Now, Heather might be many things, but I can assure you that Heather is not a thief, and Heather has more than enough money to buy her own bottle of Clase Azul. Everybody's not strapped and pressed like you, sis. So now we cut to Heather and Leah talking about last night's dinner. Heather's like, I'm still in a fog of betrayal last night. Leah says, yeah, last night was a lot. And I said, well, you guys had a dinner hosted by Gizelle and that Reasonably Shady game. You already know it's going to go left. You already know that Gizelle loves chaos and mess and confusion. So why are you surprised that last night went off the rails? So now Leah brings up Porsha's petty behavior because Porsha posted the picture of all of them when they were with the elephants, and she tagged everybody in the picture except for Leah and Candiace. So Leah's like, why would you do that, especially after we all poured our hearts out about how hard social media is for all of us? So now Candiace joins the conversation. She's like, look, when it comes to Porsha, be prepared for the BS answer that she gives when she's confronted about why she didn't tag me or you. So then Candiace goes on to say that Porsha plays dumb very well, but she is well aware of what she's doing and she knows when she's wrong. And we've all been saying that for ages. Porsha has that whole dumb blonde bit down pat. Now, let me just say this, right? I do think that it was very petty of Porsha to not tag them in the picture. You guys are on this trip together. You're all public figures. I mean, it's not going to kill you to tag everybody. And before anybody says, well, it's her Instagram, she can do what she wants, you're correct. But two things can be true at the same time. It is her Instagram, she can do what she wants, but it is a bad look and it's also petty and incredibly immature. I just don't understand why it would kill Porsha to tag everybody. And we all know how social media is. The blogs pick up on things like this. Then it's an even bigger deal because you refuse to tag somebody in a picture. And when they were on their way into town to get lunch, I thought that Candiace was correct when she said that Porsha is passive aggressive. Very much so. If anything, I would have cropped Leah and Candiace out before I didn't tag them. Or I probably would have taken a picture with just Alexia, Marisol, Heather, Whitney, and Gizelle, and not Leah and Candiace. Personally, there's other ways to play the game, but I don't think that I would have them on my page to not tag them. If I don't like you that much, I don't want you on my page at all. So again, it really makes no sense as to why Porsha wouldn't tag them. But anyhow, they finally head into town, and as they're doing some shopping, Leah's not feeling well. She's like, it's too hot, I need some water. So it gets so bad for Leah that she ends up fainting. They call for a van to send her back to the villa. And the way Porsha and Gizelle were so nasty about it, I'm like, this woman just fainted. Show some concern. You have Porsha saying she's always the victim. Then here goes Gizelle. Yeah, Leah did a good pass out. She was like this. And it's like, wow. And the name Poor Leah fits her well. I was like, was that really necessary to say? I mean, just show some decency. You may not like the girl, but damn. So now they finish shopping, they head to lunch, And it was so funny because Candiace, Heather, and Whitney ran off to the weed store, and Pepsi was like, no, make sure you finish all this weed in Thailand, because if not, you will be in a Thailand jail. So while they're at the weed store, the rest of the women are at lunch, and you have Marisol saying that she was happy when Candiace fell asleep the night before because Candiace is too loud and she's way too much. So Gizelle says, yeah, I hope that the weed mellows her out today. So I was thinking, I don't like how Marisol and Alexia have jumped on this hate bandwagon when it comes to Candiace. And then when Porsha chimed in and said, when kids have tantrums, you just have to ignore them, I said, oh, one of the most immature housewives that we've ever seen has the gall to say that Candiace has tantrums. It's just so funny how they want to demonize Candiace for everything, but yet other housewives, they get passes for their poor behavior, but Candiace is crucified for everything that she says and does. Got it. Porsha, what would you call your behavior when you tried to fight Dennis's mother on national TV? I'm dying to know. So another lunch where all hell breaks loose. I was like, these ladies have not had one moment of peace. And I have to be honest, I do not think constant fighting makes for good TV. We can have a few days of you guys being at peace and actually getting along. It's not fun when it's a constant shade fest 24/7. It's draining. And it's like, damn, you guys are on vacation. Can we have some fun? So now Gizelle launches into the BS about how she's upset that her Clase Azul bottle is missing and she wants to know who has it. So she's like, it took me 3 weeks to have this bottle sent here to Thailand, and it's the only bottle of Clase Azul here, and I'm really disturbed because I can't find it. So they're all just like, girl, what? Heather's like, you can buy this bottle anywhere in America. Why are you so pressed? And I said, Heather, exactly. Inquiring minds want to know too, because there is no way on God's green earth that I am in Thailand and I am pressing people about a missing bottle of Clase Azul. So the ladies think that Gizelle is joking about this. Candiace is like, girl, I will cash app your black ass $100 for this bottle, okay? Like, it is not that deep. So Gizelle's talking about Heather is suspect number 1. Then she says that Marisol's a suspect. She says that Candiace is a suspect and Whitney's a suspect. I was like, once again, you look so dumb doing this over a bottle of tequila that's not even $200. I could low-key see it if this were a rare bottle of Dom Perignon, or if this were Ace of Spades, if we're going into the $500, $1,000 range. But for you to do all this over a bottle that is less than 200 American dollars, you look crazy. Now it seemed like Gizelle was having a tantrum to me because she said, look, we're all friends here. Just admit that you took the bottle and just give me my bottle. I want my bottle back. So Candiace is like, you think that I really stole your porcelain bottle of tequila? Are you serious? I don't want anything from you. All you have to offer are long necks and stovepipe legs. I said, shout out to Karen for that stovepipe legs comment. That will never get old. So now Candiace brings up how Leah's doing. She's like, yeah, if anybody cares, Leah's back at the villa, she's resting, and she feels a lot better. So since she's on the topic of Leah, she's like, well, by the way, Porsha, Leah brought it to my attention earlier this morning that you didn't tag us in your Instagram picture. So of course, Porsha's being rude. She's like, it's my Instagram. I don't have to explain it to you. I'm not doing this. And of course, I'm not surprised. I already knew that it was going to be a losing battle trying to make sense of this with Porsha. Porsha's not going to own up to anything. And that was going to be her excuse. Candiace goes on to say that it's cyberbullying. They're trying to laugh it off. You have Alexia calling Candiace immature. I said, Alexia, shut up. The way you act on your franchise at your big grown age, you told another grown woman you're just jealous that you're not blonde like us. and you want to call Candiace immature? Again, I think that it is so pathetic that people look at Candiace as an easy target and they just pick on her. Candiace acts no more immature than anybody else. And a lot of these women are a lot older than her and they carry on worse than she does. But yet they want to say that she's immature. How does that work? Now, for anybody who feels like I'm not objective when it comes to Candiace, well, sit tight. Because I did think that it was a reach for Candiace to say it was cyberbullying, because I didn't feel that way. I feel like it was petty, it was rude, it was mean, but I didn't feel like she was being bullied. But I was really disturbed at how they were all ganging up on Candiace. Marisol was calling Candiace weird. Then you have Porsha saying that Candiace is acting like her daughter PJ. That was just so unnecessary. I said, again, let her make her point, but don't taunt her and act like her points aren't valid or say that she's acting like a 3-year-old. Oh, before I forget, I will admit that I was a bit annoyed that Candiace brought up the whole not being tagged in the picture, because I would never want Porsha or Gizelle to get that kind of satisfaction that I might be pressed about not being tagged in the picture. It looked like Porsha got so much enjoyment that Candiace was her about not being tagged. But the lunch was an epic fail. Even Pepsi was shaking his head like, I can't take these girls nowhere. They're just always fighting. So we see them back in the Sprinter vans on their way to the villa. And in the van with Heather and Whitney, Heather's going off. She's like, I was really pissed for Gizelle to accuse me of stealing her tequila bottle. I wanted to flip a table like Teresa Giudice did on Jersey. Like, how dare you? So Whitney points out how two-faced Heather is, because when Gizelle was accusing Heather at the table, Heather said nothing. But now in the van, she has all this mouth. No, I was like, Whitney, we already know how Heather is. We've been watching Heather since season 1 of SLC. Heather is not direct at all. So we end episode 5 with them all back in the villa, and Gizelle is asking for Pepsi or somebody on production to go into Candiace's room to check and see if Candiace has the tequila bottle. So Candiace makes it known that nobody is checking her room for a damn thing. And I said, I know that's right. Gizelle had me completely effed up. How dare you? And I loved how Candiace said at one point, my husband has access to every liquor vendor this side of the Mississippi. I don't need to steal anybody's liquor. If I want 3 cases of Clase Azul, I can have that. So we see Pepsi talking to the producers about this tequila bottle. He's worried. And Gizelle will not let it go. She's like, I want somebody to check Candiace's room because I want my bottle. And at this point, Candiace and Gizelle are screaming at each other. And Candiace is like, have you ever known me to be a thief? Are you serious right now, Gizelle? Despite our other issues, you know good and damn well that I would not steal, especially not this little bottle of tequila. So you have Gizelle saying, well then prove it. Prove it. Let me or somebody in production check your room then. And I was so uncomfortable watching this. You have 2 black women on this screen with one of them accusing the other of stealing. Gizelle, you wonder why people call you a black Karen, because it's things like this. This was so uncomfortable and so disgusting to watch. I was sick to my stomach. I would have cursed you out. Don't you ever accuse me of stealing anything. The fact that you're acting as if this is a piece of jewelry or a bag or a shoe. You want somebody to be searched over a bottle of alcohol? And then when Pepsi was crying at the end, that was so messed up. You could get the staff fired because of your antics, because they might accuse the staff of stealing the bottle. And if I'm being really honest, I wouldn't be surprised if Gizelle planted that bottle in Candiace's room, because why was she so sure that it was in Candiace's room? I put nothing past Gizelle. That's a very sick woman. I think what really gets me irritated is the fact that I expected them to have more fun on this trip, and it's been pretty much non-stop fighting. And Gizelle and Porsha are such downers. They have such negative vibes. So it just takes all the fun out of watching. A lot of you guys have expressed to me via Twitter that you've stopped watching because it's been so aggravating watching them both carry on the way they're doing. But we open up episode 6, and I'm not going to hold you. This episode was just okay to me, so we're not going to spend so much time on it. But episode 6 starts off with them still getting ready for Marisol's dinner. The blowout between Candiace and Gizelle just happened, and Pepsi's pissed. And so he gathers all of them in the living room, and he's like, y'all, I enjoy doing things for you guys. I like you all a lot, but my feelings have been hurt, and I'm not here for the fake stuff. 1 minute you're screaming at each other, the next minute you're all hugged up saying I love you. I don't know what's real, and I don't know what's fake. So they're all like, well, we're sorry, Pepsi. Candiace says, yeah, Pepsi, I'm so sorry for screaming a few minutes ago. Like, please forgive me. So you have Gizelle right next to Porsha, and she's like, I ain't apologizing for nothing. Why am I going to apologize for fighting? Like, he gets a check. He works here. And if Pepsi can't handle it, then we might need something stronger like a Sprite or a Coke. I was like, really, Gizelle? You really can't own up to anything. It's gonna kill you to apologize to Pepsi. Your antics made him cry. Going around accusing everybody and their mother of stealing your stupid tequila. Like, it's just the no ownership for me. Now I have to say, Marisol's dinner was really nice. I loved how she had the cocktails all set up for them to make. The mixologist came, and the drinks looked really good. They were making some spicy ginger and rum with pineapple drinks. I was like, oh, that looks good. I want to try that. I think one of the drinks was called an extra stiff cock, and then the second drink was called Porn Star. And Pepsi was getting his entire life. I said, let me find out Pepsi's a freak. Now, when they all sit down for dinner, the food looked amazing. They had shrimp and steak. I said my favorite. Again, y'all know me. I am a red meat girl and I love seafood. So the surf and turf, I will always be here for it. So you would think that as the hostess for the night, she would be able to lead the conversations at the table. Gizelle comes right on in, dominates the conversation, and she's like, Marisol, I know it's your night, but I want to address something because earlier today, Leah expressed that she feels like Porsha hates her. So Porsha says, look, I don't hate anybody. I don't hate you, Leah. You're just not my vibe. So now, of course, the whole Instagram picture drama gets brought up. Porsha's like, yeah, Candiace told me earlier that y'all both felt salty that I didn't tag either one of you guys. And she even said that it was cyberbullying. So Leah says, look, I'm not pressed about you not tagging me. I was just confused because we talked about sisterhood at the Elephant Sanctuary and we talked about how hard it is for us on social media. And I just thought that you would keep up a united front and just tag all of us because with you leaving me and Candiace out, it's going to invite a whole shitstorm. We know how the bloggers are. We know how the viewers are. Like, it just creates all this drama when we don't need to have all that. So, of course, Porsha hates when you make valid points. So she's like, bye, Leah. Like, goodbye. Poor Leah. Bye, Leah. Like, leave me alone, Leah. And I was like, Porsha, none of that was needed. Leah was speaking calmly. She wasn't screaming at you. She wasn't cursing at you. There was no need for you to disrespect her like that. I was so irritated. And Porsha has the nerve to say that somebody else has tantrums and acts like a baby when she's the biggest baby there. Now I have to say, I was here for Miss Heather finally getting a backbone and addressing how she felt regarding Gizelle accusing her of stealing her alcohol. So she's like, you know what, Gizelle? I have to be honest. When you accused me and said that I was suspect number one, I felt like flipping a table over Teresa Giudice style and throwing my soup bowl at you because that really pissed me off. I feel like I've been connecting with everybody in this group except for you. So Gizelle says, Heather, it's not like I dislike you. It's just that I don't trust anything that comes out of your mouth. Then Gizelle goes on to add that she would like a do-over since they have 2 days left and she would like to connect with Heather. So Heather says that she came into this experience with a pick-me mentality. And I was thinking, Heather, don't let anybody hear you say that. I'm so tired of Heather being so self-deprecating and going along to get along, not standing up for herself, being passive-aggressive, being a flip-flopper. And people like Gizelle really prey on other people's desperation to be liked and validated. So Heather saying that, I'm like, Heather, don't tell Gizelle that. And also, Heather, I want you to understand that somebody not liking you is not the end of the world. I want you to work on your self-esteem and your self-worth. And that's no shade. I mean that from the bottom of my heart, because you said something that was also really sad. I think it was either last episode or the episode before, when you said, honestly, I don't mind that Gizelle picks on me because any attention is better than no attention from the popular girl, and Gizelle's a popular girl, and the fact that she noticed me, it's like, oh, like that really made my day. And I was like, Heather, what is going on? But Heather telling Gizelle that she's trying to be vulnerable with her, and Gizelle saying, well, I'm not used to people being vulnerable with me. And I said, Gizelle, we know, because you don't offer that safe space for people to be real and put their guard down. When folks get around you, their guard is up, because who knows what she'll do or say. And you're so hardened, you're not even able to be vulnerable with yourself. You said it many times before that you don't like to cry or show emotion. You also need help. But that's another story for another day. But now the dinner ends. Whitney and Heather share yet another emotional moment. Guys, I was so over it. I said, how many times are we going to watch Heather and Whitney go on this merry-go-round where they're yelling at each other, cursing each other out, trying to expose each other, and then they're back to hugging and kissing each other, saying, oh, I love you so much. You're my cousin. You're my best friend. I just love you. Let's stop fighting. I'm over it. So now we jump to the next day, and they have a full schedule. They're going to be going to the temple with Pepsi, and as they're getting ready, Leah's nauseous. Now, when I tell you that Leah is having the worst luck ever because she kept throwing up, Candiace was checking on her, you have the paramedics coming, and Leah's like, I am all messed up, okay? Like, I don't feel well. And we see Leah on her way to the hospital. I was like, well, damn. You came all this way from New York, and you've been sick, nauseous, you fainted, you're on your period, now you're in the hospital. I'm like, girl, it's just not your week. I said, thank God for Candiace being her only friend and supporter, because had Candiace not been there, Leah would be dealing with this all on her own. They would have left her for dead. I mean, if I'm being honest, because the other women don't care about Leah at all. They're like, oh, she's sick again. Like, okay, like, bye. Now, when they arrive to the temple is stunning, by the way. It was built 500 years ago, just gorgeous. So they go inside, they start meditating, start praying, and now we see them give offerings at the altar. Now, as they're leaving the temple, Pepsi tells them to take a piece of paper and he's going to read their fortune. So he starts it off with Gizelle. I think Gizelle's number, was like 31 or 33. But he reads her fortune and he says, Gizelle, I have some bad news because your husband is going to be broke. So Gizelle's like, well, first of all, Pepsi, I don't have a husband. So he's like, oh, well, either way, the man in your life is going to be broke and it's going to be bad. I was like, well, isn't that fitting?
It's not very good. It's not so good. Okay? Your husband?
I don't have a husband.
Yeah. Or boyfriend in the future, It's like always broke.
Broke?
Mm-hmm. That's all.
Okay.
Now I said Gizelle's gone from imaginary men to now broke men. Everybody else had great readings. Heather got some good news. I think Pepsi told her that her daughters were going to do well. And then Porsha's reading was awful as well. I think Pepsi told her that she was going to get into a fight with a lesbian. So Porsha's like, wait, what? A lesbian's going to beat my ass? Like, what's about to happen? Now I said, Porsha, yours is fitting because we know that you love violence. So I won't be surprised if you are in another fight. But I was here for everybody getting a good reading except for the two bozos. I said serves them right because they've been so awful this entire trip, especially Gizelle. But now they all get back to the villa. They're getting ready for Whitney's sexy tantric dinner. And Candiace goes in to check on Leah. She's like, hey girl, how you feeling? Today was cool and calm, especially since you weren't there. There was nobody to pick on. Now they're all dressed and ready for the dinner. And when I tell you that the food looked really good, they started off with these huge oysters. I think they had like a banana blossom. Everything looked amazing. But as they're eating dinner, you have Gizelle, Heather, and Marisol all talking about the chef. They're all like, oh yeah, he's cute. You think he has a big penis? And I'm like, wait till the man has gone. Why are you talking about him when he's like 5 feet away? You know he can hear you, right? Then they start joking around about how can you tell if a man has a big penis? And I think Candiace says it's all in the nose. So they're all like, wait, what? So now I think Heather jokes around saying that she's afraid of big penises. And Porsha had me screaming. She was like, now Heather, I can look at you. I could tell that you've broken a few big D's in your life. I'm not buying this at all. So since they're on the topic of sex and penis size, you have Whitney talking about she's proud to be a sexual person, but she is upset because when she filmed that scene with her husband last season, her husband ended up losing his job. So Whitney says that she was so distraught because they fired him because of that scene. And she says that she wanted to quit the show immediately. So I was like, now Whitney, it's not going to help anybody if you guys are both unemployed. So stick to your job, collect those Bravo checks, and encourage your husband to get a new job immediately. But don't go quitting your job because we remember in season 2, you and Justin were pretty much broke. So you need your job. You need every single dime. But then Whitney reveals that she's proud of herself because she ended up making more money than her husband did last year. So she's like, you know, I'm bringing home the money. I said, okay, I'm happy you're making a cute coin, but I'm gonna need Justin to start applying to some jobs. Tell him to get on Indeed or get on LinkedIn, but it's gonna get old pretty fast if you end up being the sole breadwinner. Especially when Justin was used to making, I think she said he made, what, a few million? He was like the COO or the CFO of a company. But either way, Justin, don't get too comfortable just because Whitney's now making money. Get yourself a job too. So now the dinner's over and it's time for the second part of the night. Whitney hired 2 pole instructors to come and teach the ladies. Now, one thing about it, Whitney knows what she's doing on that pole, and if she should ever need a job, let's say Housewives of SLC gets canceled, she could make some good money being a pole instructor, or if she wanted to go to the club, because Mama's good. Like, I saw her get on the pole at BravoCon. She did that. And it was so refreshing to see them all getting along and just letting loose versus going at it with some stupid argument about stuff that we don't care about. But they're all having a great time. And now we close out the episode with Whitney and Candiace together. And I just said, now look at that. Whitney came into this not wanting to get to know Candiace. She was like, I think she's annoying. I don't know if I'm going to like her. And now they're joined at the hip. They're smoking weed together. Whitney was high as a damn kite. She goes in the kitchen and production had already bought a whole bunch of KFC for Porsha. Miss Mama said, I don't care, that KFC is mine. Whitney picked up those mashed potatoes and that gravy, and she was like, I'm gonna enjoy this. She goes out into the pool, goes on a floaty, she's eating her mashed potatoes, and then she falls off the floaty. I said a mess, but I loved how she said, you know what, I'm gonna enjoy myself and eat this KFC. Now, while I love the mashed potatoes at KFC, please stop playing with me and just bring the damn wedges back, please. Those potato wedges were everything and then some. But y'all, that's where the episode ends. These ladies really wore me thin, and I am so happy that this upcoming episode is the finale episode because, again, I'm tired. But on that note, guys, I'm going to see you later, and you already know what to do. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you all later. Bye.